Hey, is your diet giving you the blues? Man, sometimes my food just feels like it's playing the same old tune over and over again. I run out of ideas for things to make. Or it's the same old restaurant or takeout, day in and day out. And I don't enjoy going to the grocery store. I would rather have my food ready to go. Factor is like music to my ears. I can skip the grocery store and time in the kitchen making everything. Factor is so darn flexible, it's like jazz. So, how do you hit a new note with your diet? Head over to factormeals.com/fullhouse50 and use code FULLHOUSE50 to get 50% off. That's code FULLHOUSE50 at factormeals.com/fullhouse50 to get 50% off. Trust me, with Factor, you'll be playing a different tune. Yeah. We know you love Full House Rewind. Want more? Go to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast and hit that follow button. It's right there. Welcome to episode 12 of Full House Rewind. I'm your host, Dave Coulier. And our guest today is my best girlfriend in the whole world. She has the best laugh, and you can usually hear it in a room packed full of people. She's an actress and producer, and you probably know her as Rebecca Donaldson or Aunt Becky. Here's a pic of Lori when Full House was on the air. Aw, isn't that adorable? Please welcome Lori Loughlin. Hi, Yingy.
Hi, honey.
That's what we call ourselves. We call each other Yingy and
Peck.
And Peck. We'll get into how that. I don't even know
how that came about.
I don't either. But we're going to talk about it a little bit later. I have so many questions. I'm going to ask you questions probably that I've never asked you before, but because we're on this podcast, I get to ask you questions.
Okay.
Normally we get together and we just goof around and have fun. Because we're going to be talking about this episode number 12 today, also known as our very first promo. I don't want to mispronounce it because there are Full House fans who hey, you mispronounced the title of the show.
Because there was our very first episode. What was the first one called? Our very first episode?
Our very first night, maybe?
I thought it was our very first
episode.
Now,
someone's going to call me on that.
Well, if I get it right, I get really high points because I wasn't even on the first season. So if I know that's pretty good.
That's true because there are people watching and listening who know way more about the show than I would ever know.
Oh, for sure. Me too. Yeah, I would fail. Absolutely. If you put me up against a super fan, I would just fail.
So I know, me too. I absolutely would. So our very first promo, episode 12, was directed by our good buddy, Rich Carell. Mm-hmm. And it first aired on ABC on December 18th, 1987. Doesn't that seem like eons ago?
So you guys started airing in 87, huh?
87 we started.
I guess that's right, because I
think
came on in 88. That's right.
September of 87.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't
so
even.
Long,
where did the time
37 go? Years ago.
37
years ago. Look, this is 30 years right here, and that's
I don't even want to get into it.
Years.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have a chin filter?
Yeah. Can I just do a little?
Yeah. Just.
Does anyone have a rubber band?
So, what we'd like you to do is just can you give us the little rundown of what the episode is?
You're gonna
have to put your glasses on.
I have to put my glasses on.
Yeah.
You know,
can you
I can't
see me?
I can't see you.
You can't see me.
You know I can't.
I make jokes about Lori not being able to see all the time.
I can't see. And now I can't hear either. Anyway,
you can't?
No, I can't.
You just heard that. Just heard that. Okay, so give us the rundown of what this episode's about.
Okay. Yeah. Members of the Tanner family are thrilled when they are chosen to appear in a local promotion at Danny's TV station. But their enthusiasm subsides when they discover show business is not as glamorous as they had thought.
Doesn't that sound like an episode you'd really want to watch?
That was good.
Even though you haven't seen them.
I have. You know what? I did my homework, though. I did watch these episodes.
Oh, you did?
Yesterday. I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
I did.
That's good.
I come prepared.
You're like the good student. You're the good student in school. Lori is that girl in your class who always has her homework finished. It's always neat. She's always got her hand up, ready to answer the question. That's Lori. What we're going to do about episode 12 here is we're going to describe what's happening in the episode, and then we pop little pictures up on the screen for our audience to look at.
Okay.
And I'll start us off, and if anything while we're reading this comes to mind, because you watched the episodes now.
I did watch the episodes.
You could just jump in.
I watched 2 of them, though.
Yeah. Oh, so you might get them mixed up.
I could blend them together.
But you know what?
Is this the one with the ferret or without the ferret?
We're going to find out. Suspenseful, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to describe what's happening, and I'm going to just start us off. And like I said, jump in anywhere along the way. Okay. Episode 12 opens with DJ, Kimmy, and Stephanie in the garage. Steph hears a weird noise.
I think it might be a ferret.
You think it might be?
I don't know. Okay. I'm just going out on a limb here.
We don't want to give it away yet. Okay. Joey is making dinner, and the girls tell Joey, Jesse, and Danny that Stephanie thinks she heard a monster in the garage. And then Danny announces that he has some great news, okay? The TV station has asked him to do an on-air promo starring the entire family.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then that night, Stephanie hears the noise again, gets frightened, and joins DJ in her bed. That was actually very funny when she wanted to get out of the bed and she threw the rope and they pulled.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. The kids are so
Those
cute.
kids, they were so funny.
They were so funny.
Funny sight gags.
And then the girls run out of their room scared and tell the guys. Danny assures them that there's no such thing as monsters, and they all fall asleep.
Okay, now meanwhile, Jesse and Joey try to style Michelle's hair and get her dressed.
That was funny.
It was cute, wasn't it?
That was cute.
Yeah.
She was so cute too. What a good sport. You guys are pulling.
Oh, I know.
And she's just laughing. She's laughing.
She's just laughing, having a good time. And then they hear the weird noise, which Jesse identifies as a ferret. And then he tries to locate where it is. Now, the local TV director arrives and talks to DJ and Steph. And then Joey and Jesse go to the garage to capture the ferret.
Then the TV crew arrives and starts to shoot the promo with the family. It doesn't go well, and Danny decides that he'd like to direct the shoot.
Later on, the family sits in the living room and watches the promo. And then they go to the kitchen to have ice cream when Jesse and Joey hear the noise again.
My goodness.
Yeah.
It is a ferret.
Yes, it is. And then the show ends with Joey and Jesse singing a rendition of Born Free as they exit to the kitchen with the ferret.
With said ferret.
Yes.
Which, by the way, hilarious. I laugh so hard. John just conveniently goes over to the corner with no gloves, nothing on, picks up a wild ferret.
A wild ferret. Well, that was probably a very well-trained ferret by one of the animal actors people.
That's funny.
Remember the animal actors?
I sure do.
Joy?
I remember them.
Remember Joy? She had Comet, and anytime we had animals on the show, Joy would come in from Animal Actors.
That's right.
And we always loved those animals.
Loved. I remember once watching when we had Comet, and then they brought the other ones in, the younger puppies.
Ajax.
Yeah. I remember they were teaching Ajax to yawn. And it was so funny because what they did was they made him sit on a spot, and he was just sitting there. And after he was sitting there for a long period of time, he would start to yawn. He would just, and the minute he would start to yawn, she'd give him a treat and tell him, good boy, good boy.
Yeah.
And then he'd have to sit there again. And then he'd start to yawn and good boy, good boy. And then all of a sudden you saw him make the connection. And then he would start going like, with his mouth, and she'd go, "That's right, good boy, good boy." It was so fascinating to see the patience it took
dogs,
to train those animals.
They were such nice dogs.
So that's why I got 2 golden retrievers, because of those golden retrievers.
Did you really?
Yeah.
And then I had mine, Heckler. I had Heckler, and then I got a yellow lab after that, Ranger.
I remember
who ate
those
Mr.
dogs.
Woodchuck's face.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter.
Yes, Hannibal Ranger. Hannibal Ranger. It's so good to see you, Yingy, and we talked about this. I don't even know where Yingy Peck Peck started.
No idea.
Was I doing a character and
Probably.
I just came up to you and went Peck Peck?
Yeah, probably.
Is that what it was?
Yingy Peck
Then
Peck.
how did Yingy Peck Peck?
I have no idea. And that's even how we address I text you and I go, hey, Yingy, hey, Peck Peck. And you're like, hey, Yingy.
Because it's interchangeable.
Yingy, Peck Peck. Yeah, it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
I think I'm Peck Peck. I think you're Yingy, but I'm Yingy, Peck Peck. I'm not.
Yeah, it just goes back
It's
and
also
forth.
silly. Half the stuff you came up with, I don't know how you
We're going to talk about some of that stuff.
I don't know how you came up
We're
with it.
We're going to talk about some of that stuff. But I get to ask you questions that I've probably never asked you before. So
okay.
We're going to, I want to go to the beginning of your career. Okay. Because this is stuff I don't know about you.
That's
and
probably
I don't think
true.
I don't think we've ever really talked about this stuff. Now, I want to ask you, what was kind of the first thing that got you on a path towards showbiz? Because I've met your family.
They're not in showbiz.
They're not in show business.
Not.
They're not show busy people.
No.
Just like my family. So there has to be kind of a...
My dad worked for the New York phone company, and my mom was a housewife, and we came from very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I always said I wanted to be an actress. Since I was 5.
But who would you see?
I think my first thing that I saw, ironically, because wasn't the Full House stage or the original where you guys shot the pilot where they did Wizard of Oz?
Yes, and Gone with the Wind.
And I think it was Wizard of Oz when I first saw that when I was a kid.
So Judy Garland?
I just saw that and I was like, it just looked like she was having so much fun.
Yeah.
It just looked like fun. I was like, that's what I want to do. That's my first memory of saying, I want to be an actress.
That was my favorite movie growing up because you had to watch it once a year.
Once a year.
Would have it on
and it
TV.
was so special because it was once a year.
Yes, and it was one of the first comedy bits I ever did in my stand-up act because I could do impressions of
the lion.
Put him up. You didn't have to go and hit me, did you? And I remember doing that for kids, and they cracked up. So when I was writing my stand-up act years later, I thought, "Ooh, the Cowardly Lion." That made people laugh.
Yeah.
Hey, is your diet giving you the blues? Man, sometimes my food just feels like it's playing the same old tune over and over again. I run out of ideas for things to make. Or it's the same old restaurant or takeout day in and day out. And I don't enjoy going to the grocery store. I would rather have my food ready to go. Factor is like music to my ears. I can skip the grocery store and time in the kitchen making everything. And I've got 35 meals to choose from every week. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In fact, Factor is so darn flexible, it's like jazz. So, how do you hit a new note with your diet? Head over to factormeals.com/fullhouse50 and use code FULLHOUSE50 to get 50% off. That's code FULLHOUSE50 at factormeals.com/fullhouse50 to get 50% off. Trust me, with Factor, you'll be playing a different tune. Yeah. But one time we were watching The Wizard of Oz, and I used to lay on the floor and watch TV. So we're all watching, and my sister is drying the dishes, and she dropped a bowl on my head.
No.
Split my forehead open. I had to go to the hospital with my mom and watch, the doctor sew up my head instead of the Wizard of Oz. Lions and tigers and stitches. Oh, my.
Is she like drying the dishes in the family room? Were you watching TV?
Yeah,
or are you laying on the kitchen floor?
No. Yes, I was laying in the oven and the sink. No, I was laying on the floor and we were all watching, and she was in the kitchen. She didn't want to miss anything.
Oh, so she came in.
So she came out and she was drying a bowl and she dropped it on my head. So I didn't get to watch The Wizard of Oz because my
You had to
sister
go get some stitches.
dropped a bowl.
Many stitches.
on my
Was
head.
that your first round of stitches? Because I know you had many stitches
I
throughout
had lots
your
of
life.
stitches. Yeah, I know. You don't get to be this pretty, just automatically,
But anyway, so there was The Wizard of Oz. And then what happened was when I was about 11 years old, my mother had a good friend who was taking her daughters into a modeling agency in New York City. I grew up on Long Island, about an hour outside the city. And the woman said, do you want me to take, do you want to come with us? And we'll take Lori. And at the time, you had to just bring in some snapshots. And so I went, Marge McDermott, that was the name of the agency. I met with Marge, and she took me. And then I started modeling. And honestly, it was really the help of my folks. My dad worked in New York City. He was, like I said, he worked for the phone company.
Right.
My mom would pick me up from school. We'd drive into the city. I'd go on go-sees. Took me a long time before I ever booked my first modeling job. That was not my goal, wasn't, I didn't really, but that was my gateway in. I modeled for quite a few years.
It It wasn't underpants modeling, was it?
No, it wasn't underpants modeling. It was like Sears and Macy's and a lot of catalog work. And,
okay.
And Avon.
Are you standing next to like a washer and dryer?
Yeah. No, it was clothing. Sears did make clothing.
Sears made clothing.
Yeah, they did. Sears had like Sears and Macy's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All those catalog kind of companies. But I worked with Phoebe Cates and Brooke Shields, and we were all like just these kids just modeling, and I did that for a few years.
I don't think I've ever seen any of those pictures. I bet you were a
go
cute
to my mom's
kid.
house. She has them all.
Oh, she has all those?
Yeah, she's her attic is just
filled with stuff.
A vault of stuff I never want to see again.
We just moved into our new house, and I have so much Full House stuff, like boxes and boxes.
I'd like to see
and
that.
Boxes, and I brought some of them. I brought some of my scripts that have my name on them. The TV
That's
guide
so great that
cover
you saved all that.
with Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Yeah.
Annie Leibovitz.
Annie took that.
Annie
wow.
Leibovitz shot that. She shot a few of our things.
Yeah. I just remember being in one of the photo shoots that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was.
She didn't talk to me very much. She was very focused on John.
Well, yeah.
I get
speaking of John, you guys were both on soaps now.
So that was sort of my next. So I finally got on a soap opera.
Edge of Night?
The Edge of Night. Yeah.
Right.
And I was a teenager when I got on that. And John was on General Hospital.
Now, is that where you guys met, like at a soap thing?
So how we met was, the General Hospital, a shot in California. I was shooting in New York City. He was nominated for a daytime Emmy. And I was.
See, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he was nominated for a daytime for Blackie Parish.
Parish, yeah.
And I was the presenter of that category, and that's how I met him. And he didn't win, and he always till this day he goes, "Why couldn't you just have said my name?" But it was a lovely actor, Darnell Williams, is who won.
That is such a John thing to say. Why'd you just say my name? I should have won that.
He's just joking, obviously, but that's how we met.
And that was in New York.
And
you
so
were
we
shooting.
met. I was in New York, and I lived in New York, and he came to New York. The daytime Emmys were being broadcast out of New York, so he flew to New York because his category he was nominated, so that's why he was there. And we became friends. We knew each other. We stayed in touch for a while. I had come out to California. He took me to Disneyland.
Of course he did.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. John takes people he doesn't even know to Disneyland
that's his move.
Just so he can go to Disneyland.
Yeah. And then because I lived on the East Coast, he lived on the West Coast, we sort of lost touch with one another.
Right.
And then
did you move to Los Angeles after?
So I started doing movies.
Because that was what years?
So The Edge of Night was 1980 to 1983, I think.
Okay. So 4 years before Full House.
It was like I was on that show for like 3.5 years. And and then I left and I started doing some movies. Mm-hmm. Did some fun films like Secret Admirer and Back to the Beach and
I saw
Rad
Secret Admirer.
and and I did all those films.
Who else was in that Secret Admirer?
Thomas Howell and Kelly Preston.
Yes.
Yeah, sweet Kelly. Yeah. And anyway, I did all of that, and then I don't know if there was a writer's strike, an actor's strike, something. It was like a year of like I didn't have any work, and I had done some pilots for series, and I would go back and forth between New York and LA, back and forth. I'd come out for pilot season. And then I remember I hadn't worked in a while, was down to no money at all. I paid my rent. I had very little money. And I remember going into my agent's office. I think I just found out this recently from Jeff Franklin. I think Jeff had called to ask about me because he was a fan of Secret Admirer. But my agent, being a typical agent, is like, oh, I just got this call for 6 episodes for this new show that my client, John Stamos, is in. Do you want to audition for this? But I think what happened was Jeff had called and asked if I would come in and audition.
Okay.
So, but I said, yes, I'll audition for anything. I need the money. And and I was like, and I know John Stamos. I was kind of friendly with him. And
I botched his Emmy nod.
And then I messed his Emmy up. And then I went, and it was only supposed to be 6 episodes. And I remember I went and I auditioned for Jeff, and then I had to go back and meet with Tom Miller and Bob Boyette. And then I had to do a little chemistry read with John.
Right.
And then I came on for the 6 episodes, and I will never forget when I was there the first week, and you guys were just not quite a hit. Like the show was just kind of chugging along.
Yeah.
And I knew everyone was kind of like, well, this show could be on the bubble. It could get canceled. I remember calling my mother, and I remember saying, I don't know if the show's going to make it or not, but I have a feeling if it does, I'm going to be on it for the duration. Because I remember we were doing a run through and you and Bob were cracking jokes and I was laughing and laughing and laughing and the writers were all there. And I'll never forget this, Dave. I will never forget you saying, if this show goes on, I think Lori's going to be with us for a long time. I will never forget that.
Well, because you came in, and it's tough coming into a new show as a guest star, as kind of a recurring regular like that to fit in. And it was seamless. It was like, we just thought, it seems like Lori's been here since the beginning.
It was sort of like, I always felt like the missing piece of the puzzle, and then I was there.
It was. And it turned the show. The show suddenly had a different feeling when you joined the show, because suddenly there was a woman, because it was three guys. And suddenly there was like a stable woman
like a little
in
grounding
the family.
Or something,
in the family. And it did really... so then you moved to Los Angeles. Was that 88?
So that was 88, 89, yeah. I was, because I did start out as recurring and then, just the 6 episodes, and then they did bring me back.
Right.
And then I finally moved because of the show permanently. And I loved California. I always wanted to move to California anyway. So I was happy to move. I also, what else I remember? I remember the first week that I was there working on the show, the end of the week, my stomach was really sore. I was like, it felt like I'd done a ton of sit-ups.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, oh my gosh, it's from laughing. I've been laughing so hard all week. You guys were so funny.
Well, because you do have the best laugh.
It's loud.
Yeah, it's
loud.
Is. Yeah, I said that in your
cackle.
intro. I said, when I said, you can hear her laugh in a room packed with people.
I'm there.
You can. Now, when you were modeling in New York, Jane Modine, my ex-wife and mother,
she was like
of my son Luke.
Yes, but Jane Modine was. When I was a kid, she's a little bit older than me, Jane. So when I was a kid modeling, Jane was like the goddess. You know what I mean? Like she was like, she was on the cover of like 17 magazine, and she was like had like what was it? Was she Cover Girl or she had like one of those campaigns? And,
oh yeah.
And she was
Who wears short shorts? I think.
She was the Nair. That was Nair.
Yeah, I think so. And then she came on to Full House and played Michelle. As a grown-up, and we went to lunch. You, me, and John and Jane.
Yeah.
We went to lunch, and
she was great casting as the twins.
She was. Do you have any ice cream?
Ice cream.
Remember?
That was funny.
Yeah, she said, "Do you have any ice cream?" Had you guys ever met during those modeling days, or you just knew of her? Or did you first meet her on Full House?
No, I think I'd met her in passing in New York. Mm-hmm. Not that she would remember me, but I remember like or you'd go in for a go-see and maybe the photographer would be there shooting. Like I kind of remember one time going to a go-see and like the photographer was shooting and like Jane was there and they were shooting Jane and you'd be like waiting to show your portfolio and you'd just be like, oh my gosh, there's Jane Modine. Like, it is,
Was she in the Willow Bay group?
She was in I think she was in that Willow Bay group.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, because they were.
And Janice Dickinson was really big at the time too. And and they were just all so stunningly beautiful. And then thank goodness I wanted to act because I never made the height to model. I'm 5'5". Shorty was going to get kicked out of the modeling business.
Those girls were tall.
They were tall.
They were tall.
Yeah, they were tall.
Yeah. You and I really became good buddies during the Full House episodes that we shot in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because you and I mean, that was a nightmare shoot, but you and I, we used to go in the swimming pool
at night.
Yeah. And swim around and make jokes.
Laugh about the day.
And we would laugh and we would laugh about the day because the Hawaii episodes were a disaster.
It was crazy.
Because I broke 2 toes.
Yep.
What
did Jeff Franklin do? He tore his Achilles?
He snapped his Achilles tendon.
He snapped his Achilles.
There was a truck that almost killed our prop master, Roger Montesano.
That's right.
And Jeff tore his Achilles tendon. And then I remember our other producer, Don Van Atta, pushing Jeff around in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Do you remember when they tried to get him on the beach? Jeff was insistent on the beach, and they got him down on the beach in the wheelchair, and then you looked over and he was on so many painkillers. He was like slumped in the chair.
Yeah, and he's trying to give us notes about the show, and he's like,
and then there was our director Billy. Wait, what was Billy's last name? Coffee. Used to do
Billy Foster.
Billy Foster, and he was the director on those Hawaii episodes.
He was. He choreographed the Singing in the Rain. He was a dancer. He was a choreographer.
He did the Gene Kelly Singing in the Rain? How did I never know that?
He choreographed the Gene Kelly Singing in the Rain.
No.
That's what John asked Billy Foster, because John knew about that. And he said, is it true?
Stamos is up on all that kind of stuff, all that whole
he
old
knew that
Hollywood.
He's a song and dance man.
Oh, he knows all that stuff, yeah.
I'm ready to do a show.
Oh my, that's crazy. Yeah. But I just remember Billy was like just so skinny, a ball of energy, and like lived on coffee and cigarettes.
Coffee and cigarettes. Yeah. I need a coffee.
Smoke.
I remember, well, because on that, and he would go 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he would always come up and he'd put his hands on your shoulders. Okay, here's what I need you to do. And he would do that, and he had that thick New York accent.
Yeah. Coffee.
Yeah, and his breath was just like a pack of Marlboros and a cup of coffee. And and he would go 1,000,000 miles an hour. And when we were doing the Hawaii episode, remember Tom Ricard?
Yeah.
He was our AD, right?
Oh, Tom was on.
Tom Ricard. So they're talking on walkie-talkies because I was out in a boat with Mary Kate or Ashley, and we're out there, and they're seasick, and they gave them Dramamine.
They were asleep.
They were asleep.
There are shots in that episode, if you see, I don't know if it's Mary Kate or if it's Ashley.
They're out.
But they're sleeping.
Yeah,
they're sitting up sleeping.
Because the waves and everything, and they probably had motion sickness. They were just out. So on the walkie-talkie, Tom Ricard comes on, and he goes, and all you can hear is the word over. He goes, over. And Billy Foster, you hear on the walkie-talkie, just goes, it sounds like you got a mouthful of mush. What did you say? That was such a disaster. And I remember we had to get blessed. Remember, we had to get blessed by a local Hawaiian minister.
Before all the accidents happened.
And you said, because me and Bob goofed around during the blessing, that's why all that bad stuff happened. Remember that? And you go, it's because you and Bob were goofing around when they blessed our production.
That sounds like my Catholic upbringing.
Yes, you totally. You went flying nun on us.
Oh my goodness.
We have so many firsts, you and I. You were there. Were we shooting at Lorimar when I discovered the Woodchuck voice?
Oh, I remember how the Woodchuck happened. Do you remember? I remember exactly.
Tell me how that happened.
Okay,
because
I'll tell you exactly.
Sure.
I'll tell you exactly how it happened. We were at Sony. We were still shooting at Sony.
Was it called Lorimar then?
It was.
It was Lorimar.
It was Lorimar.
It was Lorimar. Yeah, which became Sony. Yeah.
I remember this like it was. This is actually, and I have the worst memory, but this one I really do remember. We were shooting at night. We were up on the rooftop of the parking lot.
Right.
It was the episode that Scott Baio was on. Remember, he came on and he was a guest star. He played John's buddy.
Yes.
And Jesse was going to jump the motorcycle like off the roof.
Right.
And we were, and when you do, like for your audience, when you're used to being in a studio and you're a studio show like we don't like Hawaii, case in point.
Yeah.
We don't do well when we get outside the studio.
Yeah,
it gets
we're not
a little
on location.
chaotic. It's a little like we're not that organized, and it was getting late. And you and I were so tired.
We were slap happy.
Like punch drunk, slap happy, laughing at, and I will never forget when it was getting cold, and you and I were standing next to each other on the rooftop, and you just turned to me and you go, "I'm a chipmunk." And I hit the floor. I could not stop laughing. And somehow Chipmunk turned into a woodchuck.
A woodchuck.
And then the puppet was born, and then he became a character on the show.
Yeah, and they wrote it into the show.
But that's how that came about.
Yeah, because I couldn't stop doing that voice around you.
It was, it made me laugh so hard.
I would hide behind a plant like that, and I'd go, "Lori," and he'd turn, and he'd go, "I'm a woodchuck."
Yeah. And it would just made me laugh. So I will never forget that, though. And I had some crazy, my hair was up in a twist, and I had some leopard printed outfit on. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
But that was so funny. We were so tired.
It was born.
That's how it was. I'm a chipmunk, and then it went on. Then it morphed into a woodchuck.
Now we have to tell our audience we used to have the note sessions.
Oh yeah, we sure did.
Which after our run through on the stage, it was usually Lori, me, Bob, and John.
And Jeff Franklin.
And Jeff Franklin.
And who else was in there? And there would be, was Tom in it? Was Tom Ricard
sometimes Tom was there. But those note sessions were so ridiculous because First of all, Bob would go crazy.
Well, we accomplished nothing.
Nothing. Because
all it was Bob taking out his intestines and doing the Indiana. Dun, 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 dun. That's all that was. And then
he would lasso.
He would throw, and then he'd get stuck. Remember?
Yeah,
He'd do
and
like
his
that.
lungs would still expand and contract.
That's right.
And it was the weirdest bit, but it was so Bob.
It made us laugh so hard.
Yeah, and then he would always draw like filthy pictures on my script.
Uh-huh.
And I would just go, Bob, stop it. And he wouldn't stop. And then I would, if I showed like any stop it or anything, it would just prompt him to do more.
It would fuel his fire.
Yes,
he would keep going.
But our note sessions, we got nothing done.
No, we just and God bless Jeff Franklin. He was so patient because he would still be soldiering through the notes and trying to It was just a colossal waste of time.
It was so frivolous.
But it was funny.
I told him when he was a guest on the show, I said, you were so patient with us. Like, how did you?
He was.
What else was I going to do?
No, he was so patient.
I had to.
I mean, listen, I think he had to run that show, and he was a young guy. It was a big job, but I just think also, I think he got a real big kick out of you and out of Bob. I think it made him laugh. I think he loved you guys. Loves you guys.
We had fun, but it was a ridiculous
it was such a waste of time.
It was a big waste of time. All right, now I'm going to sing a song, and I want you to finish it, okay?
Okay.
He's a big sea manatee.
But he floats.
Okay. We can finish each other's bits, each other's sentences. That? I know.
I know how that came about, too.
I might have a different... We had a stage manager, Keith.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Uh-huh.
This is the same story, right?
I think so, yeah.
And he came up to me one day, and I go, how you doing, Keith? And he goes, I feel like a big, fat sea manatee. And so...
And then
he would walk... I go, I'm sorry. Then I go, he's a big sea manatee.
But he floats.
And he loved that song, and it would make him laugh every time.
That's what I remember, too.
That was the story, right?
Yeah.
We had a lot of weird moments and so much fun.
I think about it, we had truly so much of life together, right? I mean, you want to talk about, we really are a family. Like, so much of life together. Marriages, divorces, kids being born,
people passing away.
People passing away. We really just, a full cycle of life, and just always there for each other. And, I couldn't love you, John, Candace, Jody, Andrea, Scott. Couldn't love you more than I do. And Bob, who I miss.
I know.
Terribly.
We have so much. The interview's over, by the way. That's it. We're done. No, we could just talk forever because we are so close and we are such a family, and we have been through so much. Like stuff that you haven't even gone through as much with your own family.
Yeah. We think about it. I've spent more time with you guys than...
Yeah, and I love you so dearly. And, when I see you, it's more than like a friend. It's like, oh, my family is here, It really is kind of a magical thing that happened to all of us, because TV shows aren't like that. That's not typical.
I also really, besides the show being a cute show and a funny show, and I also think one of the reasons it was so successful was the chemistry of our cast and how much we really loved each other. And I think it really came across to the viewer. And I think it was when people were like, I just want to spend my Friday night half hour with this family. I want to be a part of this family. Yeah,
and you can't fake that chemistry.
No.
You cannot fake that. The audience knows right away.
Yeah.
And it's not something you can cast either.
No.
It just naturally happened with us. And that, I think, is the magic of Full House and our years there, and why it's lasted decades now,
Yeah, generation to generation.
Boy, I could just talk to you forever. Maybe, can you come back and do another episode?
I would love to.
Yay. That makes me happy. Well, why don't we play a little game? You want to play a little game?
Okay, let's play a game.
Okay, you got your...
Am I done reading, or do I have to keep my glasses?
You're going to use your glasses again.
I'm going to use them again?
You'll use them one more time.
Fantastic.
But we're going to play a little game, and Joey cooked pizza in this episode.
Oh,
do you remember?
I do remember, yeah.
So
that was actually a funny line. It is pizza.
It is. So we're going to play a little game, and it's called Food House. Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions about food that relates to Full House.
Oh my goodness.
And we're going to see how many you can get right. But
this is where I'm going to fail the test.
But I bet you're probably still going to win a prize.
I'm still going to, okay, good.
You're going to win a prize.
Well, it's good to know I'm going to win anyway.
Yeah, you're going to win anyway. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh dear. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Here's question 1. What was John Stamos' favorite food to eat during a scene? Was it pizza, chicken, or beef jerky?
It was chicken, right?
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
Wow.
Yes, it was chicken. He always had to eat chicken in every scene. Remember that?
I know what I do remember is every time we had a scene, if we had to kiss, he would eat Doritos and smoke a cigar.
Oh, blah.
And then he would come up to me and go, I just had Doritos and I smoked a cigar. I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Wow, aren't you nice? Okay, question 2. If you got the first one.
Okay.
Where do you think me and John went to dinner with Paula Abdul? Was it McDonald's,
I know.
Killer Shrimp, or the Crab House?
Oh, well, I'm going to say the Crab House. Was it Killer Shrimp?
Final answer?
You did not. I'm going to say the Crab House because he loved that Crab House in Santa
Are you
Monica.
sure?
Yes, we would go and smack the crabs and do the thing, and I'm going to say it's the Crab House.
Oh.
No, I
The
lost.
audience is going, it was actually Killer Shrimp. That was a trick question that I threw at you because
we were always at that Crab
always
House.
At the
Where was
Maryland
Killer
Crab House.
Shrimp? Where was Killer
Killer
Shrimp?
Shrimp was over in like the Venice area.
Oh, I don't remember Killer Shrimp. I just
yeah.
remember
We
Friday
went
night.
there.
Remember after the show, we'd drive to the Crab House.
Yes, we would go Crab House all
All right,
the
that was
time.
a tricky trick question.
That
I
was
knew
tricky.
it wasn't McDonald's,
I
though.
knew. I give you like 90%.
But I'm still going to win, right?
You can't lose. You can't lose on any of these Full House Rewind games. Okay, question 3 was, what nickname did we give to our craft service area? Was it Food World, Crap Service, or the Crapateria?
I think he called it Crap Service.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you are right. It's any and all of those. Yes, everyone's a winner here at Full House
So I got
Rewind.
the 2 out of 3?
So,
perfect.
you got them all right as far
Okay.
as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And you know what you're going to win?
What am I going to
You are going to win, look at this, a cut-it-out T-shirt and a cut-it-out hat. So those are for you.
Thank you.
Yes. So, isn't that nice?
Very nice.
Isn't that nice?
I'm
Now-
super excited.
Yeah, I don't know what size that is. I think it's
Extra small. That's perfect.
It will fit you or someone you know.
Extra small. It's going to
Yeah.
fit me.
We get to do one more thing with your glasses
Okay, I'm ready.
before we say
I'm ready.
goodbye.
Do I have my papers here? Okay.
Yes, because it's time for Cut It Out.
Oh.
Cut it out. Of course, every
Wait, I don't think
episode of Full House had that heartfelt scene, right? So what we've done is we've cut out a scene from episode 12, and we're going to read it together.
Okay.
You got your glasses?
I have my glasses.
Okay, because you're going to read.
Who am I?
I'm going to be playing the role of Danny. I
you're
always
Danny.
read the role of Danny.
Okay.
And then you'll be playing Stephanie and DJ. It's only 2 lines, though.
I can see. I
So-
think I might already.
so-
yeah.
so
I don't think I
you know
need-
your
Let me
lines?
see my cue.
You know your
okay,
3
okay.
words?
Okay. I think I do.
All right, ready to start? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Danny and the girls are laying in DJ's bed. Well, your Uncle Jesse says your room is monster-free, so I'm only staying here until you 2 fall asleep.
Okay, Dad.
All right, Daddy.
Ooh. Did voices on those.
Did voices?
Yeah.
And I didn't even need my script.
No, you didn't.
I knew
You
my
didn't
lines.
even need your glasses.
I didn't need my glasses.
And then Danny says, and you 2 really need your sleep because tomorrow a nice lady is coming here and she's going to make a little movie about our family. And girls, there are no such thing as monsters. Closest thing in real life are linebackers. But they're much bigger than monsters and they make a lot more money. Get it, girls? More money? Girls? Good night. The joys of fatherhood. Boy, those scenes always just bring a tear.
Well, the music gets
to
you
my
too.
eye.
Yeah.
And Lori's going to come back for another episode. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh
I
my
love
God,
you so much.
I love you too.
Let's hear it for Lori Loughlin.
Thank
You hear that? Unbelievable amount of applause. Here are some of my observations about episode 12. Well, Stephanie thinks she hears a monster in the garage. I think the real monster in this episode is that Joey made pizza and it looks like refried beans. Sometimes we would actually eat the food that was served in a scene. The prop people were always very respectful whenever we had to eat food during a scene. Sometimes it actually tasted okay, actually. We all learned to take very small bites, though. Props always had backups of all the food that was in a scene in case we had to shoot from the beginning of the scene, which was all the time. We would just spit our food out and they would reset it. Also in this scene, ferrets aren't monsters, but they will take your finger off if you ever try to feed one. The little ferret we had on this show would nip at your fingers when you held them, and the one we had on this Full House episode smelled worse than the aftermath of Joey's cooking. Yeah. Then the guys sing Born Free to the girls in this episode, which was kind of an odd way to convince them that there's no monster. Maybe we should have sang maybe Monster Mash. Okay, quick. Can you name one other show on television that featured a ferret? Bet you can't. And that is episode 12, also known as our very first promo. We'd love to hear your thoughts about Full House. Tell us about your favorite episode or just why you love the show so darn much. Or maybe you got a question for me. Who knows? Send us an email with the link at socials@podco.us. We close every episode of Full House Rewind by giving all of you who need it a hug. This week, our hug goes out to all of you who are feeling a little scared because, well, life can be pretty scary sometimes. But believe me, things will get better with time. Sometimes the monster under the bed is just a ferret. So, for all of you who need it, here's your Full House hug from me. There we go. All right, that's our show. We'd love to thank our special guest, Lori Loughlin, for stopping by. And join us next time here on Full House Rewind. And you can watch all of our episodes on our Full House Rewind YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. So long. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Full House Rewind. We'll see you next week.